Welcome to Let's Talk Space Medicine. I'm Kyle Anderson, your medical student slash space nerd host. For your listening entertainment, I gather my other medically inclined space nerd friends to simply just chat and chill and hang out with each other and check in and see how everyone's doing. So we're excited here just to hang out and see what we got cooked up today.
Sweet.
So hey guys, what's up? How we doing?
Yo, always
We
pleasure.
started out
Always
with
pleasure,
a
sir.
muted Vlad. That's pretty fun.
Oh, we're chilling, dude.
So yeah, I just wanted to start today off and just I started this podcast about 6 months ago. It's kind of evolved, changed shapes. It's turned into different. Met some crazy people like yourselves. Been able to talk to certain people on Twitter. Made some interesting episodes so far, and just wanted to check in. Both for Yuri's night, which is like the celebration of how space brings us together, but also today was the launch of Crew-2, which was a really exciting event where we had humans go into space again. So the third launch of the SpaceX Crew Dragon, and just a reason to hang out and maybe celebrate, see what we have in store, and where we hope to go. So really nothing planned for today. Just gonna sit and chat and hang out with each other and catch up because I really haven't talked to you guys in about a month. So how y'all doing? What's up?
Glad you first.
Me first? You're putting the pressure on me? I've been good. I've been on a neurology rotation. It's been quite a bit of work, but it's been very rewarding and engaging. And I have my son with me.
No,
So
you're it's not on camera.
oh, it's
Your cat is out of
Analysis,
frame. Yeah.
dude.
okay. Well, maybe we've got to sneak him over later. He's being polite.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Ryan?
Thanks for asking, Vlad.
Anytime.
You know, it's kind of sad just because, like Kyle pointed out, it's been about a month, but I feel like I don't really have anything to like say since the last time. The podcast, we're behind the scenes. We're like talking and planning what we're gonna do in the future. So I got that going on. I'm still trying to do some research stuff independently, and otherwise just like freaking out about how unprepared I am to start medical school again and how quickly August or whatever I'm starting is approaching. So hopefully, Vlad, you and our other colleagues that were formerly in the same year as me, I can like reach out and connect with you guys and kind of get the down low, so I don't have a full-fledged panic attack.
I love how this guy asks me to connect with him when we meet at least once a month to do a space medicine podcast.
I feel like I'm pretty caught up and like at least a little bit informed with the space medicine scene, but unfortunately I don't know how much that's gonna help me out elsewhere. At least for now, you know. But yeah.
Fair enough. Don't worry, I will be engaged with you in any ways that you want me to.
Ooh, okay.
I
Okay.
need
I like the
to,
sound of
I need
that.
to review my medicine because I always feel like I'm underperforming in the clinic.
Hmm.
Is there ever a really good way to feel like you're succeeding though? Is there really? Like you're never enough, and that's just like the plight of a medical student. So
You know what? I'm sure that this doctor I worked with told this to everyone, but I had a doctor who I was working with, and in my second year, who told me I was the best medical student he would ever worked with, and that to me was like that I peaked there, you know.
I would like to.
yeah,
I don't even. It's just nice to like hear good feedback from the people you're working with. So hopefully, Vlad, you at least get a little bit of that. I mean,
well, I mean
I know. So personally, before you do some like self-deprecating humor shenanigans, which is I know where you default to with this kind of thing.
That's true.
I know that you're great at this stuff. That's a given. I'm asking you, do you ever get feedback? Do you ever get positive feedback?
So the feedback that I got was, would be, I would be proud to have you as a resident in my program.
Whoa, that's
The
huge.
only, all right,
You're
but here's a
huge.
caveat. There's a conflict of interest. He was the program director at a small residency program.
Oh,
I feel like with
catch.
either of
Still
those
good, though.
pieces of feedback, you would still be rated a 3 out of 5. You know, performs.
Exactly.
It's like the classic, you know, medical student thing where it performs the level of a senior resident, but doesn't get full mark. You know, like only gets a 3 out of 5, and it's like, what? Like how did that happen? You know.
Exactly.
So a lot of people in my class, they ended up feeling really defeated because they couldn't, no matter how hard they tried, and they succeeded super well. Like, and then they would just get, you know, kind of they would just be totally deprecated on in the reviews. So it didn't matter what they did in a lot of respects. You had to get lucky with the person you were working with in a lot of cases. So they would like be like, oh, you gotta work with this person, you gotta work with that person because they review well. And because like at least our grading structure is like, I mean, I think when most medical schools, like your clinical performance and that review goes into like is a significant part of your grade. So I mean the shelf's also important, but it's a big part. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy.
Just a reminder, Vlad.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Vlad and I are both students at Michigan State's College of Human Medicine in Grand Rapids. And Kyle, you're at Rush in Chicago.
Yep.
For anyone who listens to this later and might be wondering, like, wait, are these guys all in the same med school? Or
Yeah. We're all in the same med school. We all went to Sketchy U. We all went to Pathoma U. We all we all paid about $300 worth of medical school resources. And you know, our board prep was all like, you know, under $500, but we paid our tuition to sit for the board exam. That's what we paid to do, and to get the degree. So
every single one of us has been at U World University.
Yep.
I don't know if these are endorsements that we're making without being paid for it.
I think it's a reality of medical school, man. It's a reality of medical school education. Like you can't, you know, if an administration's really looking for medical student feedback, they would, I think, at least 80% of medical students say this stuff. So if they haven't heard this before, then their heads in the sand.
I think with step being pass fail in the future, step 1 being pass fail in the future might make medical school more of like a factor in your education. You might be less inclined just to like be doing Anki cards for your sketchy videos during lecture and actually, you know, hear what professors have to say on certain things. Yeah. Hopefully going forward. I'm sure that's the idea anyway.
Yeah. I think preclinical lecturers are, if they wanted to teach, they're happy, and if they didn't want to teach, they're, you know, they didn't matter anyway. So.
For sure. But Kyle, did we get caught up on what you've been up to lately?
No, not really. You know, been kind of like, I think about the podcast a lot. You can ask my girlfriend. I think about you know, what to do next and where things are going a lot. So I've been really, you know, was really happy with the last orbit. It was really fun to meet Vienna and to talk, you know, muscle versus bone, and you know, it was fun to talk with another medical student in another country. You know, it was super fun. And yeah, I've been I didn't do a written episode this month. I think that those will probably be reserved for when, you know, both, like, everyone is completely, you know, missing in action, like, you know, completely busy, as like a holdover for an orbit, because they just take a lot of time. It's like writing a scientific abstract every month. And as much as I love doing that, it's a lot of work. So,
for sure.
So that's kind of the podcast side of things. I've updated some of our graphics, so we have Vlad is a Venusian lover. He wants us to colonize Venus, so I put him under the Venus thing. And yeah, I've been thinking about how to use Twitter more effectively. I've been in recent contact with a ESA flight surgeon who's currently like taking care of one of the astronauts in space right now. So it's kind of fucking cool.
That's cool.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, she was talking to me
get,
about
like, engagement at any level too. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. She has about as many followers as our podcast does. So
I hear the job market is quite competitive.
Yeah.
For flight surgeons and medical geneticists, space medicine doctors.
Yeah. So it's been really cool to talk to her, because we can speculate as much as we want on the show, but trying to figure out exactly what she's doing or thinking is like really insightful. That's been cool. I think I'm gonna start using the Twitter account like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday post, where Monday is like a meme, a space medicine meme on Monday, a research article on Wednesday, and a question to someone in the field on Friday. So that's what I'm gonna try and do as kind of a regular scheduled content, besides the monthly podcast. And besides that, yeah, so, I'm at Rush University Medical Center. I'm an MD PhD student. Just a quick review. My PhD I'm in my PhD years. I have about a year left, depending on who you ask.
How many years do you have left?
I'm about 5.5 or 6 out of 8. So yeah, I should have another year of medical school or another year of PhD work, and then another 2 years of med school. Mm-hmm. So I'm on the long track. Just turned 30, feeling old as heck.
You're already learning all sorts of things about a deep space expedition where your years, you've been on your mission already for years, and you still have years to go. Yeah, to how to be resilient, in a confined space, how to be resilient under different sorts of pressures, all that kind of stuff. So, okay, actually,
like a day over 23.
Thanks, buddy.
Guys, before we go any further, I wanted to, since this is just kind of like a loose deck of cards sort of podcast episode right now, Kyle, I think you should turn up the levels of all of our voices across the board just a little bit.
Okay,
I'll just throw that out there right in the middle. Yeah,
it's hard to get. I just turned you guys up a little bit.
It's hard to get the levels right, but I think even at max volume, we sound okay on YouTube, but I've heard feedback in the past that people couldn't hear one or all of us as well as they wanted to be able to, because they need to hear us in crystal clear 1080p,
nice.
etc. And
you guys are in the yellow right now, the green yellow area,
okay.
And I'm in the green yellow right now.
Well,
so,
you can leave Vlad turned down just as long as you and I. Just kidding.
Yeah, actually, maybe so.
Vlad might be the quietest of all three of us. Actually,
I'm the loose cannon. All right.
It's
a loose cannon.
I think it's because I turned you guys down on Discord to about 90% when I just joined our call, and then I turned you guys up on the recording software, which is there's always so many buttons and stuff. It's been, oh my god, learning all of this broadcasting stuff has been really hard, but like, oh my god, what a cool skill finally to have a little bit.
For reference, I'm kind of like, I've got 1 year listening to the YouTube stream and 1 year listening to Discord, and I would say that the Discord volume is just a little bit louder than the YouTube volume, for reference. So depending on how loud you want it to be, that's just how it is right now, I think. Yeah,
as long as, at the very beginning, it was, I had to auto balance the audios, and it it was horrible, but finally getting closer and closer to just a seamless stream. But yeah. Thanks for the interjection.
Nice
What's up?
Yeah, I said it might be nice to throw one of these episodes in where we can just tune things up a little bit.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, as long as I wasn't cutting both of you guys off,
you're good. You're good.
Were you about to say something?
No, you're good. I think I know where you're going.
We should introduce the ISS tracker thing that we've been trying to have as a part of the podcast.
Yes.
Celebrations.
Yeah, so we're going to cut over to it right now. I think it's pretty awesome. I have all of our audios up, but I don't have our video over it, so we can be talking in the background while we look at it. So yeah, cool. we have our audios still, and here we have the ISS that is Ryan's brainchild for this whole thing.
Woohoo!
We hope to introduce at the beginning of the show every time, in terms of just being like, hey, we're doing an orbit, and in an hour and a half, as you can see here by the the tracker, we'll be here by the end of the show. And so the white line is like the current orbit the ISS is on, and then the yellow line is where I guess the whiter line is or the white line is where we'll be in an hour and a half. So we're starting now in the Pacific Ocean, and we're still going to be in the Pacific in an hour and a half. But we're going to go around the world in an hour and a half. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's not even doing anything, but it like updates like once every like 5 seconds. It looks like
it's only moving at 5 miles a second.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we just keep it up for a little bit.
So maybe we can like throw that up at the beginning and then come back at the end and see how in target we were.
Yeah, it's like that'd be great. I really like it. That's why we put in a little bit of effort to make this work.
So we should be just at about the equator in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Pacific. Sweet.
But yeah, back to school for me. PhD work is hard in the orthogonal to medical school. Like med school is like it's somewhat defined of like success. It's like a test, or like whether or not you get rated the amount that you deserve on a review. But PhD work is like, it's just, in a lot of ways it's really unsatisfying because you have less of a rubric to be like, oh, I'm succeeding, I'm doing as well as my colleagues or not. Like there's less benchmarks. Besides papers, which are like few and far between. At least like my publication like rate is like 1 or 2 a year. So we recently submitted a paper, which I'm really excited about, and it took so long to get reviews. Oh my god, just we submitted on Christmas Eve and we got reviews April 12th.
Dang.
Which is like the norm in biomedicine stuff is about 2 to 3 weeks. So something like, I think in the whole review world, like a lot of journals are having issues with getting reviews for some reason. But we finally got reviews. We responded quickly, and hopefully it'll be accepted shortly. So excited by that.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So.
Whatever happened to the publication that you were working on that had to do with the mice femurs that were on the ISS? Did that ever go anywhere? Yeah,
so you actually bring up like a really a important discussion point of like working with NASA. So I had a study. We worked as like a subcontractor through another PI. At a different university, and he had the main grant, and he said, hey NASA, like I want to study the osteocyte in space. And a part of his grant, he had collaborators or subcontractors to do different types of work. And so he contracted with our lab and said, hey, we want you to do these very specific measurements on how the osteocyte looks under these certain conditions. And so what that led was, was a box of samples, like of rat femur sections that I looked at under the electron microscope. And so that whole thing was going into a larger grant for NASA to select. And so NASA goes through a lot of different funding hurdles, funding checkpoints. And they say, yes, we want to do another project, or no, like we should do another ground study or do something else. And so not only is this like through the grapevine or through like a telephone, like I don't directly work with this person who wrote the original grant, but it's also, just a lot of different factors at play. And so the project wasn't like selected for a further study or something like that down the line. So something happened with the selection or the where NASA decided to go with their funding. And so the project is like, I wrote a paper on my data as well as some data that another person collected. And we're like, hey, this paper is like done. It's ready to go. We have a journal. Like we think it would fit well here, and it's like completely written. But I can't submit it because I can't, like, it's not, I need like permission from the original PI to publish this data, where he wants it in a larger journal with other data that he wants to bring in from another study. And so like, probably in like, at some point it'll be published, but I don't have the keys to the castle on that one. I don't drive the I don't drive the thing. And so as a follow-up, like, so that's frustrating. Like, that's not, you don't like that. No one likes that. Everyone hates that.
Everyone wants to have some control over it, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like I was just lucky to work on it. I don't know. We found something cool, and I'll briefly just describe the finding. So you have like these things in bone called osteocytes that are mechanosensitive. So they understand mechanical forces. They can feel them, and over the past 5, 10, 15 years, there's a process in bone where these bone cells that don't normally aren't usually thought of as bone resorbing or bone remodeling cells, but cells that put bone down or resorb it back. There actually is a process where they're actually doing this stuff. You usually think of osteoclasts, right? You think of osteoblasts building bone, right? And so
we thought these
it's a
cells
phenomenon.
Were just chilling, doing something else, and it turns out they.
Yeah, we knew that they were doing some stuff, but this term osteocytic osteolysis is kind of like it's like a term that is still being like defined. Like, what is exactly happening, and like what are the responses to this thing? And so, as you both know, like these osteocytes like live in these little lagoons, these lacunae, right? And they're essentially just holes in bone. Like they're like the little small holes. And so the idea is that when you have this osteocytic osteolysis, they resorb the bone around them, the holes get bigger. And if they have more of a stimulus to build bone, the holes get smaller. And so in microgravity, what I found was that the holes actually got smaller in microgravity. So it was counterintuitive. We were like, we did not expect this finding. And so there's multiple reasons why that might happen that I discussed in this paper that I wrote that isn't submitted. But essentially, we're thinking that it could be like apoptosis or like programmed cell death of these cells, and it causes cellular swelling, and it could be filling in these holes. So yeah, that was our finding, and so it was just it's kind of working with a large organization like NASA. Apparently, from people way above me have told me, is like it's about 10 times as worse as working with the DoD or working with like large government agencies. Like there's just, for some reason, NASA is particularly hard to work with in terms of like research because it's just a lot of red tape. And there's actually a friend of mine who's at University of Colorado that is pretty. if she might come on the show, if she ever comes on, she's pretty jaded about working in research related to space because of working. You know, she has had experiments go to the space station, and you know, just it's just kind of it's just hard, and she's very disillusioned.
I'd love to hear more about that. That would be a fun episode just in of itself, I think.
Yeah, so she's really cool. Kind of funnily enough, about a year and a half ago ish at a conference we both attended, I was like she was nice enough to invite me to like a social media gathering, and I was like ragging on social media like, oh my god, like it's just not that useful, and like what are you gonna like, you know, like, oh man, it's like doesn't really, I didn't get it. And you know, lo and behold, like, you know, 6 months later, I was, you know, on Twitter constantly.
Here we
so,
are.
yeah.
Man, I gotta make like a.
Yeah, so you know, totally just like
set up some alley-oops for you, Kyle.
What's up?
I mean, I have like a sort of unprofessional Twitter account where I'm like, oh, Kyle tweeted something. I'll drop a like on that. Sure.
Yeah, go for it, buddy.
I gotta make like an actual one with my name or something and set you up for a big dunk or something, you know?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Some of the tweets that I've had have done actually pretty well.
Nice. Well.
Above 5 likes per tweet, Vlad. They're very set in stone metrics that we can follow.
1,000 impressions.
The Twitter account still.
1,000 impressions, 130 total engagements.
That sounds pretty cool. I mean, especially in this world where I feel like even the really, really cool Twitter personalities related to space medicine out there don't have like a preponderance of people engaging with them, it seems, which is kind of sad, but hopefully, I don't know, hopefully we can think of ways to like engage people who aren't already in the circle, kind of widen it out a bit.
That was the thing. That's why I started this. It's because, you know, I can't stop talking about space medicine. And in the field, I felt like no one was really like, I couldn't see where it was living. Like where was it happening? You know, like I couldn't. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like
no, it just actually makes when you put it that way, it makes a lot of sense. I think anyone who's trying to like figure out what like space medicine is or like how to like be involved with it, it's kind of like, where do I even look? Like who do I talk to? It takes like years to like figure that out.
Yeah.
Or, like even learn that's a thing.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's not like a huge infrastructure investment into it. There's not a lot of money that's going into it. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like in comparison to like other fields, it seems like it's
But the cool factor though, this is the paradox of space medicine though, because the cool factor is there. You know, it's like an overlap of two things that a lot of people have like at least some baseline level of interest in.
Yeah, just because it's niche doesn't mean it's not cool. I mean, like you talk to any kid,
right?
Like, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up.
I think,
right? Like no one in the profession gets that.
Absolutely, I'm one of those kids myself. I don't know if I'm not still one of those kids, maybe, but
you guys are teeing me up.
You
guys are teeing me up too well.
I think
so. I made a I pulled up here my one of my more successful tweets. I said, human spaceflight often inspires dreams of becoming an astronaut, but who keeps them healthy? Doctors. Perhaps one day the job of flight surgeon will be as well known as astronaut. And so what I did is I went into Google Trends, a kind of a fun way to look at popularity of things, and I just compared two search terms, astronaut and flight surgeon. And kind of, as you might have expected, like right around the time of the 51st anniversary of the moon landing, as well as SpaceX's first launch of humans to the ISS back in May a year ago. There's huge spikes. But almost no one, this like blue line at the very bottom, is the interest in what a flight surgeon is. Like, no one knows what it is. And so...
Is that what, like, civilian medical doctors who treat astronauts are called as well, flight surgeons? I feel like that's like a military term.
Yeah, I think it's a holdover from that. I think that's the case, yeah.
Okay. You know, I'm learning just as much as you are.
Yeah, so 21 likes, 3 retweets, let's go.
Party. You know, the operations are small, but there's room for aggressive expansion.
Yeah. Yeah, so I also made a couple more, trying my hand at making some memes and some extra, like just like visual content. Like, you know, a lot of stuff on Twitter is, you know, just words, and you have to make it look nice. So it's been kind of fun to kind of get to know the this side of things, and yeah, just. It's been been able to engage. So I did put out on Yuri's night, the celebration of that first person going to space, Yuri Gagarin, April 12th. I did have a tweet that like invited people to like reply and say, hey, if you're in the field, would you want to come on? And we did get some hits. So there's a couple people in the UK. That are interested, and yeah, so we got some people in the field, as well as the people we talked about last time that made this like exercise device, and so they're like they want to come on the show, which is crazy to me.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, they're like, this thing is like going to the, you know, like it's just like well funded. It's like this thing that's probably going to go to the International Space Station. So I was thinking we could do an episode where we like compare like what's on the space station versus what this thing kind of fits. And they can just fill in the blanks. You know, we can each like pick a device like a treadmill or the A-Red or like the whatever else, and we could just talk with them.
Can I put dibs on the squatting device?
Yeah. And you can just, you know, practice in the background.
I could try. It's like, so this is the how you perform a squat on Earth. How does it translate to the space station?
Yeah.
Dude,
so their exercise.
I mean, you're saying that's a joke, but that's like the kind of meme that you need to like tap into just the demographic of people who are like really into exercising and exercise equipment and stuff, and bring some of those people into the world of space and like the crossover, you know?
You know how many people were hyped in that scene from Avatar where the guy was bench pressing like an obscene amount of weight on Pandora? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I was like Avatar. I was like, you know, what Fire Nation character is that? Is it an Earthbender? Oh wait, wrong Avatar.
Yeah, there you go. Now you got it. Yeah, the James Cameron one. Pocahontas in space, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a cool scene.
Yeah.
They
cool. I mean,
bench press that much on the moon. Can you imagine? Like put on like 1,000 pounds. Like, you know, you feel great.
Oh, now that you say it that way, I have like a visual. I wasn't like able to call up Avatar the movie just like in my head on the fly. But Kyle, I feel like this is a great chance for us to like kind of lay out a tentative schedule too, if that's something you'd want to do. I mean, we've already mentioned doing like kind of a dive into the exercise equipment on the ISS. What else have we been talking about doing an episode for?
Yeah, absolutely. So with ideas, like you need a little bit of schedule to kind of make sure that, you know, you all are available and other people are available. So today we want to do the Yuri's Night celebration, which I'm super excited just to chill with you guys. It's just, you know, it's just fun to hang out and just chat. So thanks for coming on and making the time today.
We're excited to chill with. We get it.
Yeah. I'm not kidding, man. Like, there's not many people I can just sit and talk, like just chill and talk space medicine casually with. So even if we talk And plus, like, I don't just chill with many people still. You know, just it's hard to do that still.
Yeah, during the COVID times, especially.
Yeah.
Dark days.
So yeah, just a tentative schedule. Space nutrition, and so that's kind of the first one on the block. This is kind of Ryan's. Like I put Ryan lead because I don't know. Like I think you should. Yeah, there
I've got
you
notes.
go.
They may or may not be backwards, but I have notes. I'm in.
Yeah,
Working
so
on it.
I'm down to discuss and like obviously do all the like the setup and the the stuff behind the scenes. But yeah, if you like wanted to kind of run it, like would love to
That'd be cool.
show up
That'd be fun to
having
try.
read something and yeah.
I'd be down for that.
And then kind of another one is the what I call post-humanism beyond space medicine, and this is kind of Vlad's brainchild. I think it deserves a whole episode. We had talked about, or we had you had brought it up before, but I think like it's an interesting topic to be like, to bring your passion for this topic into kind of where it cross-sects with space medicine.
Wow, can you like hype? Can you hype this idea up for me a little bit? Because I'm not sure I know even what that means. I don't have like an immediate like understanding of what that even means.
It's philosophical term essentially. So with philosophy, you're thinking of there's like the traditional way of thinking about humans, where you are separate from the world, and then post-humanism is understanding humanity within the world. Right. So in your traditional sense, human is like everything that is human, right? Your hair, your hands, etc., etc., etc. But then post-humanism, you start to incorporate terms like, well, can you be human without air? Can you?
Yeah, let me just open up my medical textbook. Let me just go over there. It says dead here. It says dead. It says dead.
Exactly. There's not a time where a human does not have oxygen, at least in their lungs, outside of either drowning or.
But maybe for just a little bit of time.
Yeah. So and then it'll be very interesting to explore how that's going to translate to like space travel and how we understand astronauts and how humans are going to incorporate in space. And then there's also questions of like if we establish a Mars colony, given enough time, what will happen to the Mars colony and their relationships with humans?
Gotcha.
Because we're always adapting, right?
I thought you were gonna say like this is like a Carl Sagan, like we are the universe, like exploring itself or whatever kind of thing. But you're being much more like tangible and realistic then if you're talking about
that's
like
a tangible thing. But another way to understand it too is you look towards the atom, right? Atoms are primarily space.
right.
Which
I'm
is
with you.
astonishing to me if you think about it. You slap your hand on a table, that's mostly space. It's just atoms are interacting with each other to repel themselves in their orientations. Now, if you take an atom and you compare it to the universe is also mostly space.
Okay.
Or
I'm
a
with you.
galaxy
I'm
as
with you.
well. It's just like a star system with the solar system, you have the sun, with the planets rotating.
It's all
around.
space. That's what
Yeah,
you're trying
yeah.
to tell us.
Yeah, so.
It's all space, just in my head. It's all space.
maybe Carl Sagan's on something. The universe exploring itself, and like structurally we're the same. The whole orbit model of the nucleus is so 1980s, I think. The Bohr model.
I apologize. The quote was, "We are a way for the universe to know itself." I think, just in case any Carl Sagan diehards are out there who are slamming their head into their keyboard at my
Keyboard
misquotation.
cowboys coming in like, God, Mike doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Cool.
I'll be
Okay.
very interested
Yeah.
to do the readings for post-humanism and how the critical thinkers of today evaluate that subject. And
Well,
respect
consider me hyped, Vlad. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and the reason I tied it together with beyond space medicine is because for two reasons. The first being kind of what you set up with like a Martian colony, like adapting to their environment in a way, where and I think we brought this up before. It's like there's speciation when you have like these big changes in environment. Eventually, the birds that go over a mountain pass and can't come back, they can no longer breed with the ones that they left, right? And so, they'll eventually become a different species, which is kind of crazy to think about. So that's like, and then they'll adapt to the Martian, environment where they may not need space medicine to like support them. And the second thing reason I said that is because, so that's like more of a biological reason. But as Ryan always brings up, like, there's the Star Trek of like, the kind of interplay between technology and biology. So you could go like the Borg route where it's like, you no longer have a biological body, but you have like a human conscience inside of that, where you no longer need space medicine for that reason too. And I think those are somewhat related to what you originally brought up, but I don't know if that's what you were thinking, but that's where my head went. So
no, I mean certainly. I mean all these concepts definitely intertwine with what post-humanism can be, right? Like humans aren't directly structured in a specific set or time. I know one of the kind of like popular science things that I've read, I don't know how rooted this is in reality, but like our eyebrows are growing out further and further to kind of like protect our eyes from the sun. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's one of the things I've read, so you can consider that as like a post-human thing. But of course, we're never going to see this in our lifetimes. This takes millions in the future for these kinds of things to adapt. But one of the interesting things, at least with humanity, is the fact that a lot of our evolutionary blunders, so to speak, can be modified by science and technology. If we have this social aspect to help with our evolutionary pressures. I don't know if the one thing that you've heard about is that your eyes are actually designed to see underwater. That was initially their structure, because our cornea is on the inside of our eye instead of the surface of our eye, like octopus. I think octopuses have the cornea on the surface of their eye.
I take issue with the use of design, but otherwise,
yeah, absolutely. It's all random. It's completely random. Design implies that there's an intention there, and I know there's going to be a lot of discussion in the comments if there will be comments about design versus randomness. But with humans, we could address that. So how would that look like with the Martian colony? And can that kind of like bridge the gap? Like, I don't know how many days it takes for us to get to Mars based on our technology today, but will that be able to kind of like deal with the evolutionary pressures that people would experience on Mars versus back on Earth with that space travel between the different colonies? So that's one thing to consider, one thing to look at.
Yeah.
I feel like we could turn that into. There's a lot of like things to like debate about in that discussion too, so that's kind of exciting. Kyle, what else were we thinking of? I think we had a couple more ideas, right?
Other than that, yeah. Number 4, we got Space Gym, equipment overview, and their the HIFIM. With special guests that they wanted to come on the show, so hopefully they can join us.
I
believe
dates for these, or are these like will be?
I mean,
as the time comes.
I'd be down to schedule like specific dates if that helps. Like it's honestly whatever. Like I want to record like probably more than I can even do. So whatever you guys like, it's whatever we want to do. So if dates help you, then just tell me, and if dates don't help you, just tell me that too. And however we can, we all have busy lives and we have different things going on, and so this is really like a hobby. The bare minimum that I would like to do is one a month. Bless you, sir.
Thank you. I'll try to mute myself.
Yeah, I think we could easily do more than one a month too.
Yeah, so it's like set a bar low enough that you can
Right.
very easily walk over it, and then that's success. So, hey, look, we're doing it once a month, and before you know it, you've been doing it for 6 months. And you've been doing one a month, so that's what we've been doing.
And then you'll be invited on to some kind of like I don't know, some kind of TV show to talk about your influence on the medical community in regards to space medicine.
Oh my God, Kyle, you're a space medicine influencer. Did you know
Oh
this?
man,
How do you
I'm like
feel
trying to
about-
build my brand in space
Alright.
medicine. So
You took it
like,
too far.
you should like and follow. You know. Yeah,
Dude,
this is.
another-
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna pivot. I had something fun to share.
Oh, share away.
Unless you have further thoughts, Kyle.
No, go for
On
it,
your
man.
influencer brand. Okay. This is mainly for Vlad, but I feel like I may have mentioned to you guys previously this like organization that I kind of follow and interested in. They're called. I wonder if the camera is like flipped correctly.
Yeah, we can see it. I can see it.
I think I
straight
am
up.
actually.
Yep.
On Discord, it's backwards, but on the stream, it looks like it's actually right. So this issue of the Planetary Society's report that they put out, they're like a basically, to give a little bit of a spiel on what they do, is they accept donations and they push for they push from like the legal angle to try to get as much money into developing anything space related, like satellites, rockets, what have you. And the CEO of the company is Bill Nye, who everyone probably knows. And
Who's
cherishes
that
from
guy?
childhood.
Wait. Is that? Oh, the science guy. Oh, you had to say that. Now I'm.
Yep, the science guy,
Guy.
of science guy fame. But yeah, so this issue came in that made me think of Vlad. Is actually, it's called the Venus issue.
Oh my God! Are they gonna talk about
It's,
phosphine in the atmosphere and all that stuff?
Yeah, you can see at the bottom.
Yes, yeah.
great-
It's back.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's back or something. They lost it. Now it's found.
Venus
So-
is the way to go. You just got to deal with the fact that Russia says it's like a Russian planet. So
These issues,
Yeah.
you just tell them that the the Venera 13, it's actually still armed and collecting data on the surface of Venus.
No, did
They're
it get
mining
crushed?
oil. What's up?
Didn't it get crushed like
What?
10 seconds later? Like the 10 seconds after it landed, it just like died.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Man, nature is
But hey, I
insane.
mean, if you want to
Yeah.
tell the U.S. government that the Russians are still like largely in charge in Venus, you just say that was all conspiracy.
that's what
course it's-
it said. It's
it's
like
still
we need to
there.
ally together right now.
It's actually
stop
building a underground fortress. Who knows what kind of rare minerals and things they would dig up.
Isn't there
Who
like
knows?
a movie about like the Nazis actually didn't die in World War II, but they like colonized the moon, and then they staged an invasion of Earth? It's like Iron Curtain or something.
That is a great. That sounds great.
It's so
Would-
ridiculous. It's
would
called
watch.
Iron Sky. It's called Iron Sky. It's like a dark comedy.
Everyone just wants them to,
None of my
they
ideas
just
are
want to
original.
fantasize
Yeah,
and,
that's-
it's like, oh, the Nazis, they're, Hitler's secretly in Brazil, or, there's movies about that, or, it's just like, nah.
Actually, fun fact, according to Wikipedia, I know the most accurate of sources.
Oh, yeah.
Scholarly. Iron Sky is one of the most expensive Finnish films of all time.
Whoa. Does that mean that they actually landed on the moon and made like a secret Nazi base for their film shoot? Or I wonder what that budget went to.
Unfortunately, it didn't do well in the United States. Rotten Tomatoes gives the film an 38% approval rating.
Yikes.
Well, then we gotta watch it then. We gotta, if it's bad in a good way, I love those movies, right? Like, everyone loves that. Like The Room, it's horrible movie in the best way. So it's good.
Tearing me
But it's
apart,
perfect.
Kyle.
Yep.
Good times.
But yeah, that was all I had for my little update. I don't think they're advocating for landing people on the moon and in Venus in this, but
Yeah, because it's ridiculous
Still
and a
in
bad
limelight.
idea.
Yeah, that's why you stay.
oh,
in
is
the
that
clouds.
did we put that in our list of future episodes? Because that should probably
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
like,
So I was actually getting to that.
either that or that should be like
Yeah,
the secret
so
episode.
we had the Space Gym episode. I have do astronauts dream of space sheep? So I have a friend who works in a circadian rhythms and space health
Nice.
lab. So he's a PhD from University of Michigan, and he did neuroscience. I met him when he was a graduate student, and now he's a TRIS postdoc, so a translational research in space health postdoc through Baylor College of Medicine.
Huh.
And so this is like a
Ooh.
common track for people who are interested in space related research, where they have funded postdocs where they give you money and I don't know how the labs work. I still think he's in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But he is a TRIS postdoc. So he's doing space sleep circadian rhythm work. And so he's a really, really cool guy. Would love to have him on the show. So I've been talking to him periodically. So yeah, really excited about that. Just collecting all these little space nerd friends. So just want to get them on the show and see what their brain has to offer. And then, as Ryan was pointing out, the last one I have in mind is the Martian versus Venusian colony. Who wore it better? So these are just like fun, stupid titles. I'll probably change them, but yes, Mars 100%. We don't even have to do it, right, Vlad? Right? It's already over. It's Mars only, right? That was easy. We're done.
This is how our friendship is gonna end.
It was so. Our friendship was just budding, and then now it's gone.
And then
You guys can
snipped it
you
off
could say that you
cruelly.
guys ended up planets apart.
Yep.
All right, yeah, I
That's,
think
I'll
I'll
see
make-
myself out.
Yeah,
I'll
just
see
put the
us light up
sunglasses
podcast.
on and
It's
be
just
like,
me and you, Kyle, now.
Yeah,
No,
so
that
that's the
debate is
schedule.
going to be very interesting because there's going to be a lot of things to discuss. Everything from logistics to feasibility, science, more specifically about like physics and biology, the advantages, disadvantages of establishing a colony, whether it would be better to do training versus like a non-training colony, what kind of resources are available. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, so I just pulled up and flipped back to the internet screen. This meme that I found on R Venus, which is a Reddit subreddit of just Venus stuff. And I think I posted it. You guys already saw this, but I actually thought it was kind of interesting. It says the average Martian probably has cancer due to lack of atmosphere. Can't even glide in the atmosphere. Weak bones due to gravity. Lives underground like a mole. Probably has no vitamin D in their body. Needs a pressure suit to go outside. And then the average Venusian literally lives in the sky. Doesn't need a silly pressure suit. Only O2 and acid protection. Strong bones due to near-Earth gravity. And doesn't have cancer thanks to atmosphere. But the biggest problem is, like, you have to build a freaking floating city, dude. That's just so insane.
Yeah.
It's too much.
And again, like the biggest thing I feel is the self-sustainability of a colony. You can't expect shipments to just keep the colony running, right? And if there's going to be some kind of storm, an electromagnetic pulse from the sun via a solar flare, something that happens that kind of knocks out communications or transportations, what are the people going to do on that planet? Whereas with Mars, it'll be very difficult because you don't have nitrogen. And I'm obviously oversimplifying the situation. Maybe there'll be some kind of way to extract or develop nitrogen on Mars. Maybe there's some kind of like sub-Earth deposit, some planetary deposits of it somewhere. But whereas with Venus, you can just pull all that stuff out and use that to fertilize all your crops. So you don't really need shipments for food from another planet. Theoretically speaking, anyway.
Interesting
assuming there's a
interesting
lot
little
of
preview
phosphorus.
Yeah.
into the episode.
I know, I'm getting so excited.
Yeah.
I love it, It's like playing those civilization games. You're thinking about like, should I settle here or should I settle somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
Should I go into the fog of war, the unknown, and see what better options are available to me, or should I just take what I have now?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
think.
sophisticated gambling.
Yeah, you were worried about oversimplifying, but that's like the only way to like even start to attempt to answer that question. So like you're gonna have to just be like, okay, physics aside, from a pure medical standpoint, what's better? And it's like, so we have to just like have wholesale kind of assumptions that are wrong to begin to kind of talk about, I think.
And I mean, like, what kind of, like, we haven't seen the, like, underneath the surface of Mars. We've barely seen the surface of Venus because it's so acidic and high pressure. I'm wondering, like, what kind of exotic materials that we could even begin to access. Like, you need to think about the long-term economic feasibility of these colonies. Like, will they pay for themselves, or will they be a constant sink of resources from Earth?
Yeah, I think the blank slate of Mars is more like the premise of my future argument is that a blank slate is better to work with. That you can draw.
Write that down, and I will begin to research why that's a bad answer.
Dude,
Yeah.
what about the third option, which is just to have like really big cities in space? Isn't that the premise?
O'Neill cylinders, right?
Yeah.
O'Neill cylinders. We should just do that.
Alright, let's just go to Mercury. That's where and live at that like tidally locked zone where it's like extremely freezing cold on one side and horribly hot and toxic on the other. And that way you could just like walk out your door and be like, I want to get a suntan, and you like take a couple steps and you're burning.
Just rotate a little bit and then you're just like freeze thaw, freeze thaw, freeze thaw. I'm done.
Yeah, just put your hand out for a second, like, oh, okay, that's good. Let's do the other hand. Oh, it's just such exciting stuff. Always getting together with you guys. I always get so excited talking about these things.
Yeah, I always need an outlet. I talk my roommate's ear off about space medicine. My girlfriend's, ear off about space medicine. So it's nice to have an outlet for people who actually like are interested also. Because
here's a question for you, dude. And
what's up?
Vlad, this may also apply to you. Do you tell the physicians you work with when you're like at clinic or whatever that your interest is in space medicine, and if you do, what's their response?
I can go ahead if you're ready for me. So the clinical capacity I work in right now is pretty limited. So I've been working at the COVID vaccination site at Rush. So one of the vaccinators, like, Wednesdays and Thursdays, variety of times. And, like, when I first started, I was meeting a lot of the, like, other volunteers. And, like, oh, you're a med student, tell me something about you. And I was like, oh, I do this. I'm an MD PhD student, have some time during grad school to do this. And I want to feel clinically useful, right? It's like this thing that's like a muscle that I need to work out. And it's like, giving a vaccine is like the easiest thing you could possibly do, But it's actually helped my brain out a lot in terms of just, it's been helpful for me, let alone helpful for the actual person. But pretty much when I was like, talking to these, I work with like retired nurses, nursing students, pharmacy students, other med students, that kind of stuff. And I actively tell them. So I say they're like, oh, I'm an MD PhD student. I work in bone biology. And I say, catch this. The interesting thing about me is that I like space medicine. And they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, what is that? And you become like something interesting. So it's like, oh, I have like 90% of my work is just trying to be a good med student. But the interesting thing about me, the special fact, is this thing, and people respond pretty well. So that's my answer.
I'm gonna immediately co-opt that. I'm gonna start saying that to people.
Yeah, so like I think
a good way to think about it, because like my biggest problem in space medicine is that I don't think it's gonna be a feasibility thing for me, because it just seems so far off, so distant. There's so many channels that you're gonna have to work through and get through, be involved in the work. I don't even know what the avenue is gonna be for me, so I just primarily just default to I'm really interested in internal medicine, med genetics combined program. That's where I want to be involved in, especially looking at the genetic risk factors for very common diseases. but there's a part of me that's hoping that the program that I get involved to will be able to get in contact with people who are involved in space medicine, because I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to tell you where I want to be involved in just yet in terms of my residency program. But they're very closely, they're very proximal to NASA and space research. So I'm really hoping that just sharing my hope that they'll be like, oh, just talk to this guy or this girl, this person,
Sure.
in the hallway. Maybe we'll see how it goes. But I love that idea, Cal. I was going to start saying like the interesting thing about me is I'm really interested in space medicine.
So I think if I might interject again, I think the good thing to do is to frame it that way, because especially as a medical student, where a new service gets medical students like every some order of weeks or months, you become unique.
Yes.
And it's like to get if you're trying to get a good review, you need to be memorable in a good way. So it's like, oh, what was that guy's name? His name was Vlad, right? Yeah, he was like really smart. Like, let's give him a 3 out of 5. Yeah, okay. but, rewind. It's like, yeah, what was the guy's name? Vlad. Yeah, he's really smart. Oh yeah, he really likes space medicine. That was really interesting. Oh, 5 out of 5. Easy, done. All good.
I hope it's that. I hope.
It just makes you personal. It personalizes you. It's like something that almost no one else has. So I think, kind of, you can. I think it's good, but I don't know. Yeah. There's probably, some people have been like, so like, what? Like, do you want to take care of like? There's that like that's actually a thing, like, but you don't want to be a real doctor, do you? Like that's like so. That's the negative. If you get someone who's like doesn't think it applies to regular medicine, or like thinks your career is just going to be taking care of no one, So I don't know. I think the benefits outweigh the cons, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, as I say, just reading through the different profiles of the space surgeons, the flight surgeons, if you will, they have an extremely multidisciplinary approach. They get contracted out to investigate disease outbreaks like water treatment plants, or talking to pilots that fly planes, or they get they might even have a month-long service at an oil rig or with a scientific team that's investigating the Mariana Trench. So they have this extremely diverse approach to treating people that hits all the points of life.
It's all the really cool, like, weird things that you can do even on Earth. Basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're hitting like the fringes and the extremes of society. Not so much like your average 6-pack person, but more so you're hitting like the people who are holding up the economies by working on like oil rigs or working in really far off forestry areas or something like that. That's kind of like what you develop this very unique, very sophisticated set of skills that has you working in environments that are often not supported through infrastructure. From what I've seen.
And dealing in public health, but that's not important. Not in terms of COVID, not in terms of Ryan's past couple years of
no
school.
one here has a degree in public health.
No one cares about public health, right?
Actually, class, medical school.
Dude, actually, this is something that's come up before. So I've talked in the past about like where I am with this podcast and getting to a place where I'm like, hey, this is the thing that I'm proud of, and like I want people in my life to know about it. So I'm kind of like a keep things to myself kind of person at a baseline. Like I don't really go out of my way to tell people what I'm doing or what I've been up to. So I think I'm still fighting against that more than anything in terms of like telling all my friends about this podcast. Having said all that, though, I'm like actually pretty excited to do the nutrition episode and then go onto like Facebook or like hit up my friends from my former school public health class, that because we all did nutrition together. I have a degree in nutrition sciences from my master's, and I'm just like really amped to like reach out to all those people and be like, "Yo, look what I'm doing! Like, I got a podcast, people." So hopefully we can like do it justice and kind of really get into the nitty gritty on that one. And I'm excited too. And I guess the sneak peek about why would be that I think when you hear the topic of nutrition in space, you're like, oh, like Dippin' Dots, like people are eating like
Dippin' Dots.
they're eating like their taco
Oh
out of
my
like their
God.
package. It's been like frozen. Their tacos have been frozen for like 3 years, sitting in like a crate.
Or you mean like Tang,
whatever.
right? Like Tang, yeah.
Yeah, they're drinking out of juice boxes. Like everything is like processed and like ultra like secure, like immune to like all forms of radiation or whatever. But no,
Sorry.
it's not like that. And I think we'll get a lot more into it. I've just been like looking through some of the resources that Kyle sent and kind of doing some of the stuff, looking into it on my own. And it's exciting, and it's maybe not what you would expect too. So, yeah. Sorry, Vlad. Sorry. What were you saying?
No. I was interrupting you. It was completely my fault. But I wanted to ask: have you guys seen the movie The Fifth Element?
Not
Big
recently
bada boom.
enough. Not
Big
recently.
bada boom.
Remember that scene where Lilu takes the little pill, puts it in the microwave, and then gets
Oh.
this like giant chicken with carrot. It's like her fourth one that she's eaten.
After she discovered New Age Netflix, where she types in every letter and gets like a new like the encyclopedia of whatever that letter that. Oh my God! What an amazing movie!
Right now, that's not what the astronauts do on the ISS.
Yeah, it's like totally
No,
what they
I don't
do.
think we've had breakthroughs in the like microwavable pills into giant meals technology quite yet.
But 2020,
Because-
Ryan. Oh, like it's got to be a thing, right?
All I can say is 2 words, Vlad. Space botany.
Space botany.
Think about it. Okay, that's
like
that's
botany.
that's my.
A lot of people
Sneak
out
peek.
there are probably laughing right now hearing that I say I love botany.
Wait, why would we laugh at you for that?
Let's carry on. In the next
Okay, moving on. We'll leave that as we'll overturn that rock another time maybe. But yeah, Kyle. By the way, how are we doing on our ISS tracker?
Let's see.
Which is a European Space Agency tracker we have co-opted
I don't know
to.
this.
We are currently over Saudi Arabia, heading northeast
Okay.
to Iran, kind of going over Kazakhstan or
Okay,
Kazakhstan,
so-
Kyrgyzstan, southern part of Russia.
We're probably about like what I would say 40. So I guess one sigmoidal curve like across the equator would be half the flight, so that would be 45 minutes. And since we started at about the equator, we've been going for probably about 45 minutes since we last checked. Does that sound? Does the math check out to you guys?
I'm about an hour 10 recording right now.
Okay, I think we only just introduced it at about 20-30 minutes into it. So
Yeah, so I don't know exactly.
maybe we end when we're like close to Japan or something.
Well, you said the when we hit the equator, so
Yeah.
I would guess that would
That's-
be like 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes left.
True.
Speaking of
Cool.
Saudi Arabia, I would love to see those clock towers in Saudi Arabia.
Clock towers.
Yeah.
You mean from the ISS or just like up close and personal?
Up
I wasn't aware they had clock towers.
There's this massive clock tower called the Towers of the House. I can't pronounce it in Arabic, so I'm not gonna try.
Huh.
But it's glorious. I would love to see it.
You know what, Vlad? I think I would just love to be able to travel to another country, but I think unfortunately everyone, including like Canada, for crying out loud, is on like the no-fly list from the CDC at the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know Ontario's on lockdown right now.
Hmm.
I would love to travel with both of you guys anywhere.
Yes,
After the stories Ryan has told me,
dude.
especially his adventures in Russia, oh my god.
Yeah, man. I'd love to go back.
I just
Man.
need to practice a little bit of my accent in Russian. I'm gonna be smooth.
I just need to make
Sounds
sure
good.
my passport photo looks like my actual face next time. 'cause
Yeah,
that was an
they
issue
did
last
not
time.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Kyle
does it
and
not
I
look
previously we traveled together like several years ago, we went to, just so everyone else, like anyone who ever listens to this video, it's in on the me and Kyle and I went to we went to Russia, and one of the selling points obviously for us was just going and checking out like the space travel museums and stuff they had, and just to like see whatever we could. We went to other countries too, but a lot of our cooler stories came from when we were in Moscow and St. Petersburg, which was I think we spent like a week in Russia or something. It was awesome.
I got a cousin in St. Petersburg. You gotta meet him.
So, dude, Russians are so friendly, so cool, so awesome.
Oh, he's American!
I mean, it's just like I don't know. It was a great experience. I don't know.
100%. Yeah.
It's always there's always like, I mean, this is almost true for no matter where you go these days, but there's always like concern about like, is this country friendly with the country that I hail from? Like, are there going to be issues with that? Like, what's the political situation? But even though U.S. and Russia have a lot of history, I think the tourism industry is much like the space industry for that connection. They work together really closely, U.S. and Russia, and still do cool things.
Yeah,
definitely recommend traveling there if anyone listens to this and they get a chance.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they think about traveling to X country, they think of how they'll stick out, or how they'll be targeted, or they'll be, whatever. They don't care about you. They just don't care. Like you're just
for the
like
people at the customs office. They care.
Yeah, it's like when you're in the country, you just walk out of the airport, and like I've been to like many different countries that where I don't look like any of the people around me, and it's just like you're gonna be mainly fine.
Mainly.
like I don't know, like. It's you're gonna be fine. Like it's you're gonna get through it. There's gonna be some, friction between your way of being and the other culture, but you sit and listen and be patient and absorb what they're doing and mimic mirror what they're doing first. Be understanding, it's all that stuff. And if you do any of that, it'll be fine.
We should definitely try to tap into the space medicine scene in other countries too, and at some point try to make it out to visit people and certain programs. I think if we continue on with the podcast too, I think we'll at least have a little bit of cred to throw around, be like, hey, we have a podcast and we wanted to come check out your training facility or whatever. Maybe someday we'll be able to actually do some cool stuff with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's definitely appetite for people to come on this type of format of a podcast. People want to talk about their stuff. It's what they care about. And so if you care about someone else's work, it's there's almost nothing better than that for some people. Yeah. It's I do this very esoteric protein synthesis reaction. And I'm the only person that does it, and 98% of people don't care about this thing. But if you're just hey, I'm super interested in what you do, can you talk about it? And they're oh my god, yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, absolutely.
Most of the time.
Tip for life right there in general.
We think about how many there's some channels that I watch on YouTube that are educational based. One of them is military history visualized, right? And you would think who'd be interested in that, military history. It's very aside from a key few select number of people, but that's actually very interesting. He's actually pretty popular with a lot of different people who want to learn about kind of what actually is the data-driven understanding of why people made the decisions that they made in certain wars throughout history. And that's the thing, right? Then you could extrapolate that to people working in their fields. If you have someone who's working in that very esoteric area of protein synthesis, how that stuff works, there is going to be a community of people who want to learn more about that. People who are interested in understanding the science, the technology, kind of the data-driven understanding of how we come to understand how these proteins are synthesized. Like, there's just people who just want to collect knowledge and understand how the world works. It's just finding a way to present that in a non-academic way. Kind of like in a way that is easy to digest if you have never been involved with before.
I'm going to butt in really quick. I think that's like the most important thing. It's something that Ryan's really good at is like just making it like just for anyone, you know? It's like, you know, I always talk about the everyday astronaut, Tim Dodd. He's like, the reason he's so popular is because he's taking this like very quote unquote hard subject and just making it for every person. And it's like a really attractive idea. And I just like, yeah, like we just, I want people to be interested in space medicine or at least know about it or anything. And so this, you know, hopefully it's just for everyone. Like, I don't care. I hope it's not like I just want to, you know, bring across how excited we are all about this topic. And like, that's the main point. So
I think this is one of the things that you're able to do really well too, Kyle, is that you're creating and you're curating an experience like this that's just showing people that people who are interested in space scientists aren't like sitting inside of specialized government designed scientist-driven space tubes where they have like special like cords and stuff attached to them and they're like fully optimized human beings. They're just like people like you and me.
Yeah.
You know, I have a gym in my apartment. You got a bike in your room. You know, you have your fisheye lens, which makes you unique.
Yeah. It makes me warped. My space-time is warped because I'm huge. I'm a giant.
Right. So it's ultimately just how much time you put into the field that you want to do.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that really flipped my brain on this whole thing, after that I found out that space medicine even existed, was that like they're just real people doing this, you know, and you can be one of them. You can be like, they're not unicorns. These are people. They have to, you know, they have to have certain like credentials or certain like schools to go to be taken seriously, for the most part. But you know, these are normal people. One person I talked to today, you know, like an ESA flight surgeon, like it's a real person that I talked to. It's like, that's just crazy that person like existed, and like they would like that they talk to a little person like me. So it's so it can be you. Like you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to be afraid to want to get into space, because it's, you know, it's still like a narrow field of, even like you have engineering, then you have aerospace engineering, you have medicine, you have an even smaller, you know, aerospace medicine. It's a small field in a lot of respects, but you know, there are people needed in every, you know, there's space lawyers, space accountants, like there are space, you know, like every type of job you could want there is one in space somewhere.
Not physically in space, but related.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's a better pun than the first one you started. You're welcome back into the friendship. You're welcome back. That was a good one.
I had to bide my time and wait for my end. Paid off.
But yeah, it's just kind of, you almost need permission to want it. Like you almost need to be like, well, I'll, you know, eventually get around to it, and like, oh yeah, it'll happen to, you know, hopefully one day it'll happen to me. And it's like, no, don't wait for it to happen to you. Like, go out and get it. Like, no one's gonna give it to you. No, not a single person is gonna be like, hey, here's this incredible opportunity. Like, do you want it? Like, it doesn't really happen. It doesn't happen. You have to make it.
Glad I'm gonna have to rethink my entire strategy.
You need to find the connections of the people. Mm-hmm. You know, make impressions with them, and then you find the avenues where you can start to begin to sink your tendrils of influence into.
Yep.
Sink your tendrils of influence, okay.
Into the fertile soil and suffocate the, I don't know where I'm going with this metaphor, but you know, you get the idea, you get the picture.
That you're a cutthroat, you know, zero-sum game competitor.
Exactly. Only I, it's going to be me that does all this. completely ignoring the collaborative nature of this field.
Yeah, that's bad. That's
real bad.
That's real bad.
Anyway.
Well, sweet. I feel like we've covered quite a bit. We touched on our schedule. We talked about why Mars is going to be better than Venus.
Oh yeah.
For compensation.
Check mark complete.
Kidding.
Leave the friend group, Ryan. You're not allowed here anymore. We are taking
I'll clean myself
applications
up.
for a third. Can you believe a third host on the Let's Talk Space Medicine podcast?
Yeah, and we've never had one before because retroactively I'm going to edit Ryan out of all of our
Exactly.
previous.
Ryan was never here. He was just a placeholder for you.
Just a placeholder for my future self after I've made amends.
There you go.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Ryan.
We had some good catch up in terms of where we're all at and what life is like in our little various corners of the planet, and we had some inspirational dialogue between Vlad and Kyle. Go to the places you want to go. Be a good human. Engage with the things that you want to engage with.
Yeah, and make it yourself. No one's going to give it to you, right?
Yeah. But yeah, we introduced the ISS tracker.
Yeah, we had talked about it before, but I'm just not good at it. I'm not good at fitting that in with all the other knobs and dials I have to deal with. So
I'm guessing we're over China. Vlad, what's your guess?
East Russia.
East Russia. That's probably more accurate.
And behind number 3, we have we're definitely over Eastern Russia. I think we're too far north for China.
Yeah.
Is it the Chukotka?
Oh, you're right.
Autonomous Okrug?
Holy cow.
Where specifically is it?
We're cruising, man. Oh, that's right. Because of the whole, this is this rectangular map thing. Look how fast you move when you're at the top.
Yeah.
It's wow. Okay.
We're in the Kamchatka Krai. Where are we?
Kamchatka. I learned, obviously learned most of my geography from Risk.
No, from Risk, right? Naturally.
From Risk, Kamchatka Peninsula. Oh, man. The gateway to Alaska, North America. Was it 5 reinforcement for North America? And Asia was always impossible to take, so never take Asia. And then, I had a friend of mine who always would take, he stacked the deck, it must have been. Always would get something in Oceania or Australia, Indonesia, and he would just fortify, back fortify. He was impenetrable. So I hate that guy. And you know who you are.
Risk is a horribly balanced game. Let's say that now.
Just like the real world.
The winning strategy
just like the real world.
You just take Oceania and you build up. There's no economic infrastructure for that, but you build up the largest army possible, and then you just do your sea invasion and you take over everything. Yeah. Kind of like the sea people did way back during the Bronze Age with Mesopotamia, Egypt, Crete. It's for those history nerds out there, they know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to share useless trivia that I know.
Oh, man. Well, do you guys have anything else that you feel like it would be prudent or just fun, maybe? It's a better thing to touch on.
Yeah, I got one thing. Next time we record, maybe you might have a whole new spaceship that I'm in, moving.
Dang.
So I will be moving out of this wonderful, wonderful house I've lived in for the past 4 years, and
hopefully from one fishbowl into a new one.
Oh yeah, camera's staying. Yeah.
Camera's staying. Okay.
So this might be the last time we record from Pilsen. Yeah. So it's kind of a new chapter. Turned 30. Was like, oh my god, I've been living here for 4 years. Gotta change the scenery a little bit. So excited on moving, and excited to continue to work with you guys. I think about this podcast every day. and I think about recording and having fun with you guys every day. So.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you the best of luck on your new journeys to a new fishbowl.
Yeah, it's not super far, and hopefully we'll be getting a nicer desk, a couple other little upgrades, and really looking forward to it. So, what's on the near horizon? What's just over the horizon as we crest on our orbit for you two?
Ooh, I have
about this. Please, Vlad.
I have an away rotation with a highly prestigious institution that I'm going to try to apply to. We'll see if I get in.
Ooh. Is the away rotation situation impacted at all by COVID, or are we pretty much past that now?
Well, the funny
That's a
thing
great
is,
question.
I feel like the institution that I'm going to, they are not letting their students travel, but they're accepting students coming in.
The hypocrisy is insane.
That's what I saw on the website. Maybe the website hasn't been updated yet.
That just seems weird to me, but
yeah, but that's just me.
That seems like a let's make people pay us more type situation. I don't know if that's how it works at all. I don't know.
The other thing too is that I feel like maybe that institution has no need to do so because they just have so many opportunities for their students. Like MSU, for example, there's a couple of things that might be missing for people who are interested in those programs. They would need to do the away rotations, whereas
they kind of have like specialty, like they're good in certain areas, but not in being broad for sure.
I visualize this place as a city of doctors.
Huh.
50 million square feet, I think, of medical technology.
I think I know where you're referring.
Oh, he knows?
Yeah, I think I know.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm very superstitious. No furs, no feathers, that kind of thing.
Sounds good. I think if I'm referring to the right place, I think you'd fit in well there. I think they have a great med genetics thing going on. So.
Oh, you think so? I don't know. I'm very.
They have. I'm not gonna say it out loud. The thing like you requested, but they do have an aerospace medicine branch. Like they're one of the major aerospace medicine places.
I'm aware of it.
They actually follow this podcast, so they
No. I need to spruce up my apartment and cut my hair. Don't let him know. I'm here. My first impression will be
just the aerospace medicine people, so maybe not the med genetics people. So I don't know if they talk.
They'll talk. They're like, this guy sucks. I hate him.
Man, 3 out of 5, not personable. Like, what is he even interested in? Like, how is he unique?
I thought he was interested in med genetics and everything. Space medicine sounds.
Those things don't go together, right?
Yeah, no, not at all. Absolutely, we're not going to be interested in the genetic mechanisms of cancer formation in the face of radiation. No. Get him out of here.
Well, that's super exciting. It'll be in my thoughts and in my brain space.
Thank you, sir.
And then Ryan, what's on the horizon for your next orbit?
Well, I also I would say I also think about this podcast often, about as often as I can bear to think about Vlad. Which is quite frequently, because Vlad is a great human, but he can never know.
Just the way that you phrase that's so funny.
But
permission for lip to wobble.
Permission granted. I don't know. Like, I'm just really glad that the weather's kind of it's on the upswing here in Michigan, and hoping to get outside more. I got some plans to do some camping. I'm in Michigan, and my girlfriend actually lives in Chicago, where Kyle lives. So, just trying to make it out there. I actually, I guess the thing I probably should have led with is I finally get my second shot.
Yes.
For COVID vaccine on May 5th, which is coming up sort of soonish. But I'm proud to be a member of the Pfizer fam. And down with the mod squad, naturally.
This guy's doing everything to antagonize relationships.
Wait, are you a Moderna guy?
I am Moderna clan.
You're in the mod squad, okay.
Yeah. Nobody's Johnson. No one's part of the J&J group, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Cops?
give
No, just
a
kidding.
flying frick about that. Just
Yeah, I think
like just
they're
get
all,
it,
they all got their
please,
merits, for
everyone,
sure.
please get it. Oh my god.
They're all great. But yeah,
I like every time I
just
give a
thinking
vaccine to
about-
someone, I'm like, thank you for coming in so much. And they're like, why you say that? Why did you say that 20 times? I'm just like, just tell your friends, like, please come in, please.
Use these resources. Protect us.
Yeah, I just can't wait till this is, I think as of this week, my entire family's vaccinated completely.
Nice.
So
That's
they're
fun.
now
That's a
we can
good
just hang out
milestone.
without a mask. It's great. Until we need a booster shot in about 6 months, but or we just assume the risk and it's it's endemic and a low level thing, but that's a whole different
Yeah.
whole different conversation.
We need to get one of these what are they called? Epidemiologists here to discuss
Mm-hmm.
COVID in relation to space medicine.
Yeah, actually, in the aerospace medicine world, when you do a residency in space medicine, you can people opt to do a public health degree, specifically in epidemiology. So, I don't know, could happen on the show, and just wanted to say, kind of closing, just thanks for joining me again. This podcast has been like a shining beacon for fun for me. Like it just kind of like it kind of like weaponizes my hobby time into just like a functional thing, so it's like I do this stuff anyway, I look at this stuff anyway, and my excitement's there, but now like to kind of like polish it and turn it into something cool and interesting, I couldn't do without you guys. So it's been 6 months since I started the Twitter and the first episode I recorded. And it's changed and been this kind of crazy thing for even just 6 months. I'm really looking forward to the next 6 months with you two, and we'll see where it goes. So thanks for joining me, and I'm just going to sign out. This was Let's Talk Space Medicine. I'm your Space Nerd host, Kyle Anderson, and I was joined today by Ryan and Vlad. And as always, it's been a pleasure to hang out with y'all, and we're going to catch you next orbit.
Ow.